in my computer anyway. And I'll
Thank
share
you.
it with you if you want a copy. So anyway, we
Please.
had Lance. I'm Chris Gunstream. I will just for your information, so you'll know, I will be the new incoming council chair for the 2026-2027 Lion Year, and as you are pretty well aware of, that chair changes every year, just as all the governors change every year. So I will be there in that role next year. And I know you know Whitney, and so she's right there in Kerrville, and it works at our state office there at the Texas Lions Museum there in Kerrville. So, but glad you be here. We could talk about this a little bit and where we're going to be going and what you expect or kind of what we can expect from the YO as we start out. And we're not gonna rehash all the stuff that took place in February. I don't think we need to do that. We know that was it was not good, and we all just move on from that. But as we move forward, looking at August coming in, and then for the next few years out through August of 28 is when we have our contracts through. At least that's what I see in my hand. We just kind of want to make sure that we're moving, that we're all on the same page, and that the YO is not looking to ask the Lions of Texas to go someplace else.
Correct.
No. And the reason I mention that is because I've been asked that question, and I've been asked that question by a number of people. Is the Wild just trying to force us out by doing something? So when we look at with the contract coming up in February
October.
August,
excuse me, of this year.
August of this year. We look at coming up in August. When we go back, we say, as an example, in consideration of this, the Wild is going to have 2 complimentary 1-bedroom suites. Are the suites going to be in the same location that they've always been, or are we moving suites around? Or I guess that's kind of like what we need to find out, because it really affects. It has an effect upon the camaraderie of the way that we do things, so like in February, my suite that I would have had with my first vice district governors. My room ended up being across the hall. The suite portion of that, we were told the room was empty. Come to find out, there was actually somebody in that room. So I mean, and it was just odd and strange. And front desk said, "Well, sorry, but that's the management is taking those rooms, we're renovating, and we're making them into single rooms, and that's just the way it is." So that was one thing.
Lance, what are your comments on that?
So on that suite portion of it, whenever we first got embedded with our new system, with the reservation system, with Stay in Touch, and an updated version of Ivy, we were continuing to face those issues with not only the that reservation portion of it, but also we were given information about wanting to they wanted to renovate those suites and return those to normal, like king and queen suites. Now, what they wanted to do with that middle portion that adjoined, we never got clarification on that. That was kind of left ambiguous. Now, on a hotel standpoint, last minute, we made the decision here on property to try to get that, reopen those rooms for the group. And to my knowledge, in remembrance of what we did at that time, we were able to kind of, I guess, reinstate those rooms. But we did have some communicational mishaps with the specifics of which rooms need to have furniture taken out completely, which rooms needed to, because we were told we needed all the furniture for one room to be removed, but then come to find out that we still needed the bed in there, but we needed, I guess, the living room area removed. And I guess there was just a slight communication error on that one, and that could have been on our parts here for not, asking the appropriate questions, like, can we get specifics for these things? So there was that as well too. But I do know that I do want to chat with our team, Jeff included, when when he gets in here in the office, so that we can discuss the possibility of like reinstating that, or if there's a way that we can use that whenever y'all's group comes back. That way we don't have to basically do a huge change for y'all like this past February, like that, like all those little instances happened with the reservation portion of it.
So I guess in all of that, are you saying that the hotel or the management is not going to change those suites, or is the desire of management to move those suites back to king and queen size rooms?
Now, to be honest, Chris, the because of little things that we go through here at the hotel, we haven't really discussed that portion of those suites. That would be something that allowed Jeff and myself to chat with Brandy about, and our front desk manager Ariel, so we can kind of discuss those suites. And I'm going to put a big note here on my notebook about those suite rooms.
Chris, I just wouldn't envision and I don't know yet, I'm not an employee yet, but I would not envision losing inventory. I wouldn't envision losing suite inventory. I still think there should be suites. I don't think there's so much demand at our hotel that we're not going to have suites anymore, that we're going to have all guest rooms, which is what I'm thinking in the back of my head. So I mean,
That's fine.
if you're concerned about an upgraded option for a couple of your select VIPs that's written in the contract, again, I'm not looking at the contract, so I don't know, but we're going to do everything to honor everything that's in that contract.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that. I want you guys to understand, or please understand, this is not so much about the suites. This is just one example of, so we're just trying to clarify what we can look at moving forward as we move forward over the next couple of 3 years. So that's just one. And Lance, I appreciate that. If we could, just, a communication issue, we can certainly solve that one. I know that Whitney spends an inordinate amount of time in making sure that people understand what our needs are in that. So I will just say that as we get prepared for the August Council of Governors coming forward, as we move forward, I can assure you that Whitney will make sure that she will let, and you tell her who you want her to provide this information to, the
Mm-hmm.
rooms that we normally have used in the past, and what we have done. So everybody is on that same page. Does that make sense?
And I can come up and we can walk the hall and I can point to the doors. And then that way there's no questions asked about what's the suite, what room am I talking about? Because I know exactly which doors have traditionally been certain things that we can ensure that we can get it in the system the right way.
Correct. And as Jeff said earlier, we want to do whatever we can to make that the suites portion of that work. I know that it's not just about that, but with that being one of those items that is, we would like to kind of continue doing that. That way, nobody likes tremendous change and all that. And I understand that. I understand that more than most because of all these changes that we've been making here at the hotel. Yep. And again, with the beginnings of our booking system also, in my opinion, that was one of those things that just when we got a hold of that finally. And so in my opinion too, that portion of it and us not understanding it like we do right now, in my opinion, didn't help those issues with those suites also. So moving forward, again, I do have these notes here that we are going to talk to the team about that portion of it. And luckily, since we have used this system before, We still have all that information from February of who was in what room, things like that. However, when I can get an updated rooming list, as soon as possible, then we can give that to Ariel and we can go ahead and input all that information just to make sure we're ahead of the game.
Okay.
And make sure that everybody's where they need to be. And yes, also Whitney, if you want to just kind of show me one day, you want to show me those rooms, point them out to me so I can go physically see them as well too, and just know. And then we can talk about what furniture needs to stay in, what needs to go out, et cetera, et cetera. We can talk about all those details and we can make it happen.
Okay, perfect.
That's perfect. And then again, I just kind of want to make sure that I understood that it is not your intention that you want the Lions to leave, correct?
Oh, that is absolutely correct. Yeah, that is not our intention, Chris. Again, I know we don't want to rehash those February things, but that on that note, I know that plumbing and things of that nature are not anything that I can control, but apologies always want to be given on that one because I do just feel still very, apologetic for all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, Chris, is I don't mean to cut in. I'm sorry, Lance, but bottom line, Chris, is as we talked about, we could have done a better job communicating to you clearly, not to you, but to all your members that were staying at the hotel about the water situation. And what's been done has been done, but I wouldn't foresee, you guys are committed to the hotel through 28 or 29, whenever it is. 28. And you've been at the hotel since the 80s. I mean, and we're not looking to make that change. It's not, it's not like a scenario where, we have another group that, represents more revenue. You hear in the bigger cities about that all the time. And it's nothing like that. We want you to just give us another shot, and we're going to have that shot in August. And I can assure you, from a service standpoint, absolutely, we will do a better job. If there's situations that come up, critical thinking is important, and we will do our best to critically think and serve you to the best of our absolute best of our abilities.
And appreciate that. And please don't know that we're not looking to make any particular move either. I mean, Wyo has been a home for the Lions for a long, long time. Kerrville is it's centrally located for the state. Obviously, we have our Texas Lions camp, which is there, and that Lions camp and our meetings are married and tied together. So logistically, the things that would happen if we were to move or just, I mean, it could be very difficult and lose a lot of the momentum that we've gained. So it is not our intention, at least it's not mine.
Correct.
I can't speak for every line that we have in the state of Texas, but I can tell you it's not my intention that we want to leave the Wyo by any means.
Sure. And again, I'm not looking at the contract. I don't have access to the contract until next week, but I will look at it. Hopefully we have a cancellation clause in that contract as well that protects the hotel and also protects you. So like I said, moving forward, we want to look up. We want to take every step necessary to make improvements. But as a whole, it's not like at least this is what I've been told by the president of the management company. We don't have plans to do this big grand renovation right now. We don't have the money to do that. We're just not there. But the things that are broken, we can fix, and that's coming from him.
And that's good. And if we take a look when you take a look at the contract, and Lance, this is something I think we needs to just have an addendum put to it, because the room rates on the contract are less than what we're paying, and we know that we needed to pay the higher when we had agreed to that verbally a couple of years ago. We just need to make that as in a written portion to the contract. Would you not agree?
Absolutely.
Agree.
Thumbs up here. Yes. Very important.
It that way, person following me doesn't go, as I did with Whitney, wait a minute, what, and I'd forgot that we had a verbal agreement on that. And and that's just fine. Whitney, I know you have some questions you have on there too, so I'll be quiet for a while.
Really, we covered a lot of it. If I can get up there with y'all, and definitely, after next week, after you've started up there, Jeff, that would be great so that we can kind of go over a lot of that. I know a lot of February, was a mix of a lot of different chaos. But if we can just go back over what we've got, because it's been there's been a lot of turnover, and a lot of for years these two meetings both ran on kind of automatic pilot, because everybody had been there for so long and everybody just knew this is what we need to set up. But just to make sure that we've got, the tables in the lobby for the expo stuff that we do, and just go over the room setups one more time to make sure that we have everything there. And then, the biggest concern and the fight that I've, had to back a lot of people off from was why weren't we told when we checked in? And that was kind of the one thing that I wanted to go over with y'all. It wasn't that, they understood that it was outside of your control, but, when they checked in, they hadn't had water in the hotel for over 24 hours, and nobody informed them when they checked in that there hadn't been water, and we don't know when it's coming on. And then it was like, well, if we'd known, we would have gone somewhere else because we want to flush the toilet or brush our teeth. And that was mainly the big thing, was nobody told us when we checked in, and it kind of
We could have done, and again, Lance, we talked about this earlier, but I think as a whole, the hotel could have done a better job in terms of communicating the messaging around that crisis at the time. Be it, verbally upfront, be it a sign, something that, hey, it's out of our control, but the water main is not on right now. We anticipate it coming back on soon. We can't guarantee a certain time, as opposed to checking the guest in and letting them get to the room, And I just think that I wasn't there. I don't know the circumstances, and that's a Brandy call as well, Brandy Martin. But I just know that, what I hear from you all is how it was handled, and it should have been handled a little differently.
And to interject into that one there, and not to contradict what Jeff just said, but our GM at the time was a different GM than Brandy for now, because that was Donald, our old GM with PHG. And again, allow me to apologize, Whitney and Chris, because to be honest, this is the first time I am hearing of that. I did not even know that. I didn't even ask that question or realize it. I had my own, laundry list of things that I was dealing with also. Now,
y'all were pretty swamped, and I fielded a lot of those complaints. I have tried really hard over the last several years to train the Lions that when you have a major problem with the YO, come to me first and don't just go scream at the front desk. Let me, to try. So I've tried to field some of that. To not, because there were some pretty angry folks, and we're talking them down, and I'm, I think we've convinced them, let's give August a try. They had a lot of changes very recently since we were there last August, to the February meeting. There's been a lot of changes. They're getting the kinks worked out. So this is, we're hopefully talking them back into a mindset of coming with a fresh mindset. Let's reset. Let's make sure things go smooth and don't judge everything by one. We do have 40 years of experience with y'all and a 40-year history.
Long time.
And so we're not looking to run out the door and just say, well, y'all blew it, goodbye. We understand that circumstances were beyond control and it was a snowball situation and one thing led to the next. But I really want to make sure we get August exactly right, because this is kind of the only do-over that we're going to get before people are going to say, okay, we really need to seriously
Yeah.
look.
Yeah,
We've talked him back from the ledge a little bit, but we have to have a very positive experience in August to get him completely off of the ledge and moving forward.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you a question that you all are aware of. Have you all signed contracts with the hotel?
Through 28, yeah.
Okay.
Through the last signed contract we have is through August of 2028.
Okay.
And Jeff, when we get you here in person, Jeff, I will. I believe we have those hard copies in in my file folder that I kept.
Yes,
as well as I believe I can get those for you, Jeff, so we can review those and look over those. And then if there's any slight things that we need to, well, obviously we can do that and we can present that to Chris and Whitney, and then we can kind of go from there.
Yeah. And one thing y'all mentioned was the rate. We've got to get that in writing. That's something that if it's not in the contracts and we do an amendment, that'll be one thing that we will definitely, have to have. And just so, yeah. But hopefully, you'll wait to come by the hotel, Whitney, after Monday.
Yeah, I'll wait till next week sometime, maybe later in the week, before I come by. That way I won't come on Monday, so it's like first rattle out of the box. I'll let you figure out where the coffee pot is and the staff bathrooms. I'll give you a couple days. So it'll be later in the week next week that I'll come by and meet, and we can do that in person. But if I remember correctly, and I'm looking at just I only printed one of the contracts. I didn't figure I needed to print all of them for this, but the room rate listed on this one is 100, and we have agreed along quite several years ago to go up to 110. So the contract amendment is, the contract actually says 100, and we've agreed, verbally
to pay a higher rate
110
verbally, but we
verbally. And so, but by contract, it's still technically 100. So that amendment would be more in your favor than ours.
Which makes my comment to you, Jeff, about the three. And Lance, you probably didn't know this, so you weren't here at the beginning. But we had people going to the front desk in February who were being given 3 different amounts that they had to pay, and if the room rate was at 110, I personally know of one gentleman who was charged 149 and had to go get it changed because he thought the rate had jumped that high, and we told him no, it had not. So, and the reasons that were given at the front desk were, well, that's what we were told to charge.
Yeah, but that could have also, and I'm not making excuses or anything like that, but that could have been what's called a best available rate that the hotel was selling at.
It could very well. Wait, Jeff, I'm not. Again, this is water under the bridge. Right?
Yeah,
it's over and done with. I'm just letting you aware of what had happened. I'm not saying as we move forward. Only thing that I'm going to ask as we move forward is one, please make sure that the front desk knows the dates of our next Council of Governors meeting. So because people are calling in, trying to make reservations. Lance, you fielded a phone call with one of them, which was James Browning, and I think you've got him. I think you took care of him. I think that's what he said. You sent him an email back with his reservations, but he had called the front desk here just a week ago, and they told him at the front desk, we don't know when that meeting is going to be. We haven't been told that. Well, it's been there even though I know you got a new system, I know that, but golly, the contract is there. I mean, it would to me, it would just make sense that somebody just key it in saying, okay, hey, the Lions are coming and these are the dates that we've got them reserved for. And, at this,
Mhm.
so I'm just asking because we're gonna tell people that you need to go ahead and make your reservations now for the YO. I mean, that's how they like to do it. And they all know. We'll also let them know that there. It used to be you check into the YO when you checked out on Sunday. You were asked the question, "Do you want the same room next year?" And
Yeah.
it's always been, "Yes, we'll take that same room next year."
Yep.
Well, guess what? That didn't happen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so now we need to. So the question I have then, how when people check out, do we need to let them know that they're not going to always be in the same room that they've always been in? Do we need, or can they request that room again? Because we do have some that can't climb stairs. So, and I'm serious, we got some that we have a lot that can't climb those stairs. And so, you know, those are small questions maybe for you, but for that individual Lion who has been doing this now for the last 30 to 40 years, who is still coming, that's a huge issue to them. They think they're going to get the same room, and if they're not, well, we need to let them know they're not. So tell us how you want us to educate those Lions.
And on that one, Chris, I know at whenever the February meeting came around, we had the statement up at the front that, oh, that we don't do that anymore, and that we'll put the request in, things of that nature. That would be another one that we will clarify with the team. Now,
Okay.
I did confirm a couple of weeks back, or it could have been a couple of months back, like right after y'all's meeting had concluded, that for the VIPs, such as you, Whitney, and some of the other chairs that I believe Whitney had sent me that list. Now, for the VIPs of y'all's group, we have decided that we will give y'all those rooms that you would like to have. I.e., I believe Colorado is that suite. The group of rooms that y'all typically like to use. And I believe we did speak
Mhm.
with that, and we will give y'all those like same rooms for the VIPs. Let us
Yeah.
clarify about the rest of the group, because I do know that if even if we can just say, hey, if they would like to request that room, we'll definitely put that in the notes. And obviously, with accessibility issues, that's one of those
That's a
things that
must.
it's a must, in my opinion. Just like Jeff said, that is, we can't really go around that and tell them, well, too bad, so sad. That's one that we will need to make for them. So let us clarify on that one. We'll get some answers from Ariel and Brandy on that, and then we will get you that information as soon as we can.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because those are the rooms that we use for the guest speakers that come in and the big
Mhm.
international guys, those the Colorado suites and all those over there on that side. So yeah, those are really important for those sides of it. So
It was a lot different, back in the day when systems were manual as well, where they just
Mhm.
made the reservation, they wrote the room number down when they checked out for that next convention or that next year. And automation and, computers are supposed to make it easier. But, as a whole, it's difficult, to say that, somebody is absolutely guaranteed that same room, or not somebody, but everybody. We can't communicate, and the word can't be that, the room you stayed in is going to be that same exact room that you're going to get. But to Lance's point, if it's a situation where they're noted on a rooming list as a VIP from you all, a situation where we know that there are mobility issues, things like that. We can notate that in the reservation system that we have and look at that weeks in advance and, block a room for them on the first floor, or an accessibility room, or, whatever the case may be. But, the days are kind of gone from, being able to make that, messaging as, you're guaranteed that same room next year every time you come back, if you understand where I'm coming from.
Well, I understand it. I can, there'll be some consternation there. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
And
40 years of history is hard to change.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And nobody likes change. And we know that the only
Yep.
thing that's constant in this world is change.
Mhm.
However, with all that being said, if you know, if we talk about computer systems and we talk about those systems, if you're making a reservation, and if we make every opportunity that we can make to put that person in a room that they want to stay in the next time around, that I think it's understandable.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing that, but I'm just going to tell you, Jeff, if I were to take your argument and put that argument that you just gave to me to the Lions that are going to hear that, they're they're going to call BS on me. So
Yeah.
I'm
that's
not
fine.
saying that, I'm just giving you what they're going to tell me.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, when they check out,
Mhm.
like we used to do, and Lance, you're right. That's all that was told us. If okay, we would, somebody at the front desk would say, "You want your same room?" Or somebody would say, "I'd like to have that same room that I had." We're going to write that down. We'll send you a verification on that once we're able to settle this out and get started for the next time around. Stacy was very good at doing that. So I feel sure that whoever is taking her spot and whoever's moving forward with that can still continue to do the same thing. So it seemed to work very well for us and well for the hotel. So
Yeah.
but I needed to know that so we can train our Lions on what to expect and when they check out and what to expect when they check in. So,
And then also Chris and Whitney both, on the note of those front desk, just the front desk in general. As we're trying to make improvements to almost every aspect of this hotel, the front desk and demeanor, as well as attitude, things of that nature, are something we're consistently working on and trying to improve on a daily basis for the overall customer experience. So that being said, I would like to take some responsibility on that being the case for some of those responses, because again, I was under the impression that I was being told from others as well. So with that, we're going to work on our responses from the front desk. We're going to work on our knowledge of who is going to be coming in, and I will discuss with Ariel if we can give our front desk a certain type of access so that they can see when these groups are coming in, because I believe, to my knowledge, they don't have the access to see all of the specific dates for groups. They only have the basic check you in, check you out type of things. They can't do as much as they could with our old system, unfortunately.
okay. And that makes sense. And we can certainly provide that and let people know. It's just, it won't be as instant as it used to be. And the response won't be as quick. And that's fine. As long as they know that, as long as they don't feel like they're being put to the back of the bus and made a second class citizen. That's the thing that we want, that we don't want them to, and that's, hey, look,
We're in the
well,
hospitality business. We're not going to make them feel that way.
and look, I know you're not. It's human nature, and if you're not treated the same way you've always been treated, and you're being treated differently, people take a different approach to it. It's all it's perception, and so we all know we can't. Perception's reality. So the last question I have is about the branding iron. Is that going to be open up and running when we start back again?
Now, when you say up and running, Chris, what did we have going on with the restaurant at the time that y'all were here? Because we've made some other minuscule changes throughout that time frame since y'all have been here from February. At the moment, I do know that we will have the breakfast buffets in the restaurant, provided that we have 100 people guest count in the hotel rooms the night before. So that's one thing that we are going to stick to for that. And on the back end as well of let me see. Wait a second. For the restaurant as well, we did switch our menus over also. So we did make some changes to that. And at the moment, the restaurant is closed on for dinners.
Mhm.
But we do have the bar has a minimal like bites menu, if you will, during happy hour, if I'm not mistaken, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday between 4 and 7. That you can
Okay.
order the food through the bar. Now, we are working our hardest to get to the point where we are going to, open up for dinner again, because the
Mhm.
idea is for us to be open in the Branding Iron breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week.
Okay.
Now, the
Friday
one
lunch.
difference is we're not going to be doing that lunch buffet. Just want to make sure y'all were aware of that for
Okay,
lunch.
that's what I was gonna ask, because Friday, whenever we have a visiting international guest,
Mhm.
we always do Friday lunch. We've traditionally done it where we're sitting in the Guadalupe room, and then they go through the buffet, and then we're billed for the buffet, and we pay y'all whatever the cost was. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head because we just pay it. So the lunch buffet on Friday is not going to be available for us to be able to do that lunch anymore.
On that, Whitney, that would be another one of those clarification things with Brandy, as well as our food and beverage manager, Jessica. So, because we did speak briefly about other peripheral events and things of that nature that we have going on, where the possibility of using that restaurant buffet would be the case. So let us clarify on that one too, on that point, and we'll get back to you on that one as well.
Okay.
And I think the importance of this, Lance, is that if we're, because it's not going to be, I mean, there will not be 100 people at that little gathering.
Yeah,
So,
it's usually 25, maybe 30 at the very most.
yeah. So the question that begs the question to me that if it's not going to be open, then we would have to have the ability, or we would have to have the authority then given to us by the hotel to be able to cater some sort of food in for that meeting. That's only one time a year. That's in August that we do that. So we have a visiting international president who's come to visit us. So.
Gotcha. And then that one, to my, if y'all can, if I remember correctly, with that meeting, y'all go through the lunch buffet in the restaurant, sit back down in Guadalupe. But with that one, y'all were individually charged for each of y'all's meals, correct? We didn't put that one on the master bill.
Correct. You
Okay,
Right,
gotcha.
you did, yeah, you would we count how many were in there, and then you would send me an invoice for the number of people, and then I
Gotcha.
would pay y'all. And it usually comes in on the same bill as the Texas Lions Foundation breakfast, and I pay the half for the lunch, and Bernie sends the check for the breakfast.
Gotcha. Okay.
And with that, will we continue to have will those breakfasts that we have typically done at each one of the meetings, will those can still be able to be provided?
Oh, yes. With y'all's numbers, folks, yes, you're more than,
yeah.
Right. I just trying to cover all bases here, so everybody gets their questions answered, and we're not having you bombarded by a whole bunch of other folks saying, well, what about this and what about that? So
Gotcha.
And I can tell you for the go-to for this, for at least for me, and for this next Lions year, I'm always available for any call. If you got a question, you need to talk to me, please feel free to do so. When I send this link from the YouTube portion of this call to you in an email, you'll have my email address and phone number. But the go-to person is Whitney there in Kerrville. She is first contact, and I want her to maintain first contact. She's the constant in all of this. Folks like me are the variable. We change every year. Whitney's the constant person. She is in that position and is there. Yep. So please, if you need to get a hold of the Lions of Texas, please go to Whitney first. Okay.
Understood.
Yeah. Whitney, you got anything else?
I think that covers all of the things that we had on the list.
Okay. Do y'all have anything for Whitney or not?
Not yet.
No, I mean, to be honest, folks, again, with the many years that y'all have been here, we have basically the blueprint for your group.
Mhm.
We just need to discuss with these, with the changes that were made here. We just need to go over those and
Yeah.
cross the T's and everything like that, make sure we're all good, and then we can move
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's,
again, I just ask that please understand, the hotel has, and I'm not making excuses, Chris, but just understand that the hotel has gone through significant changes, the last 6, 8 months, and I
Yeah.
apologize about the past, and let's just look forward and make, the August meeting a great success for you guys.
that's my goal, is if we can make August flawless, which we're due one of those,
That's our goal.
that can go a long way in saying, February was a fluke. It was just a perfect storm after last August, which was also a perfect storm in another way with the flood that had just happened. So
Oh, yes. God.
it's we've had a lot of struggle. We've gone a whole year. We've either had tornadoes or floods or some significant people that had been in the hospital and passed away. So we lost a lot of our. We've just had one thing after another with all of these meetings, and we're due a good one. So I think August, if we can just get together and start now to make sure it's going to run flawlessly and we have it exactly right, then when people come in, they can be like, okay, we're good. We're solid
Mhm.
again. And that's my goal, is that, we can just get it to where it's perfect for August. So.
Mhm. Mhm. And Whitney, whenever we do decide to do that little walk and talk with
Mhm.
Jeff and everything, I will make sure that I print the copies of the floor plans that I have for the August meeting. That way we
Okay.
can go over those just to clarify, add
Okay.
whatever extra tables, extra chairs, whatever we need to take away, whatever, anything like that. We'll
Perfect.
go over it. We'll make sure we write all notes down so we have copies.
Okay.
And I just wanted to add also, Lance, do you know, well, I guess this is kind of more of a question. Do you know if we have a booking link set up yet for the August meeting?
To my knowledge, I believe that is set up. I believe it is the 2608 Texas L, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a different
Okay.
initial for the Council of Governors, for the PDG, things like
Okay.
that. But yes, I believe we do have those group codes already generated.
Okay, so Whitney, when we meet, we'll make sure we get that rolled out to you so that if people want to get their reservations in now, they can.
We can't, yeah, definitely. And I can send that out on a list or an email to our groups to make sure they've got it so that they know.
Wonderful.
Well, I want to appreciate everybody's time and taking time to be on this call and have a conversation, a chat. I think we've cleared a lot of air. I think that's the main thing, is to clear the air. And again, as stated at the very beginning of this call, what happened in February is water on the bridge. Nobody's going to be throwing that at it. We're not throwing that up to anybody, and it's just, it was unfortunate. So we're done, and so we move forward. So I look forward to August. And I look forward to starting the new year in August. And I'm looking very much forward to sharing this information with the Lions of Texas, who will be following me in their role as council chairs, knowing that we're not having to look at trying to change everything up in a world that we don't particularly want to change things in. So thank you, Jeff.
Okay,
Welcome
we'll
aboard.
talk soon.
Look forward to meeting you in
Yes, sir.
in August. And Lance, look forward to meeting you too, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Y'all
Well,
take
folks,
care.
y'all have a
Thank you,
wonderful rest
Whitney.
of your day.
Thank y'all.
You
Thank
bet.
you, Lance.
Thank you.
Thank you now. You bet.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.